Well, they say those who refuse to learn from history are condemned to repeat its mistakes. Could also say that you don't learn from the successes. So I decided to take a look back at last year's Penn State game and see what that game might tell us about this game. Now, and by the way, this is Raucus. Most of you have met him before. He's getting a little attention because he's been upset that Bob has been getting most of the attention. Bob is still with us. Rather than cleaning his cone today, he's actually purring, so at least part of him feels good. Meanwhile, this is WVU football going deep. I am Forrest Poston. Now maybe you know why I say teacher, teacher, talker, and cat dad. Please share, subscribe, click the thumbs up button, click the notification bell, make comments, and tell, and I won't say each and every one of your friends, but hey, tell the ones who might care. Now, can I get my notes here to where I can look at them, huh? Pardon me, Raucus, I think we're going to have to, make a change here. Yeah, how's that, kid? Now, West Virginia actually ran the ball fairly well against Penn State. First play, Donaldson, 9 yards. Looked pretty good. It was a nice clean run. They had a number of 7 to 9 yard chunk runs. Did not have long runs. Green had about a 15-yard scramble that at that point was the longest run. I think probably was for the rest of the game as well. Problem was that on other plays, -1 to +1 kind of common. So we got good chunks or we got nothing. And, well, that's the kind of thing that Coach Brown talks about, you know. You can't have your good way up here and your bad way down there. You gotta keep things even. So if we had been more consistent, there's that word again, with the running, would have been a lot better. We could have put together drives instead of just some decent series that didn't go far enough. Now, running backs last year were Donaldson and Anderson. I didn't look specifically at how well Anderson did overall. He had some pretty good runs. He had a good catch and run. This year we'll be looking at Donaldson and White. White, of course, a very different runner from Anderson. And hopefully that will be one of the factors in getting some larger chunks. Maybe take something to the house and maybe avoiding the no gain kind of runs or tackle for loss that put us behind the chains, because spent a lot of time behind the chains, and that of course hurt. Ended up with 146 yards rushing, I think it was. It's not a great total, but it's decentish, and it's the same thing that Penn State got. So it's not like Penn State, just strictly dominated in every way. We played pretty much toe-to-toe. Penn State's first touchdown is about the 4th play of the game. Burks slipped, and a dive left him maybe 6 inches short of deflecting the pass. And that was the difference with the touchdown. Burks doesn't slip. He either deflects the ball or intercepts it. It was that kind of a game. What I'm not sure of is whether or not Burks really had the responsibility for that coverage or not. One of the things which, Coaches talked about after the game the corner coverage and, the decision between corners and safeties as to who had what coverage was a problem, especially on what they call the scissor routes. I'm not sure if that's what that particular route was. I didn't double check, but it was their biggest play, and it was kind of a fluke, a combination of a mistake and a fluke, broken coverage and a slip. That's definitely things that can be cleared up. And Anthony Wilson Lamp is no longer with the team. Green missed several open passes. Whether it was, short or even some downfield, which became his strength, he was not, most of the game, sharp. Now, when it got late in the game and kind of that, it wasn't 2 minutes yet, but the 2-minute psychology, his passes got sharper. That's Green, or that's what Green had become. Instead of a guy who got too much of a hurry in a critical situation, he got sharper. But he needs to be able to be that sharp play to play to play. And I'm trying to read my notes while wearing the wrong glasses, so if you'll pardon me a little bit here, we'll call this a quality control issue. Now, as a result with the issues, West Virginia only had 162 yards rushing, 16 of 27 passing, which is, hey, it's well over 50%, but critical times. There was one pass to Fox in the end zone. I think Fox made a bit of a mistake on the play and didn't pick the ball up in time, but also it was just a matter of little more air on the ball, little more touch. And it's a touchdown, which I think at that point would have tied the game, changed the complete psychology. Now, when you change the psychology of the game, you might just motivate the other team. Penn State might have come roaring back, don't know. But it would have been significant for West Virginia. And of course, no quarterback makes every, play. No quarterback completes every wide open pass. Crap happens. But there were too many of the big, critical, easy misses. And keep in mind, 14-7 at the half. Penn State had two good drives. They had a couple of missed field goals, and yes, that could have made the difference psychologically. Would have opened up the game sooner, which might have caused West Virginia to open up their game sooner, which could have been good for West Virginia, don't know. You can't just say, hey, you change this and this happens, Football is classic indication of how everything interrelates. You change one thing, you might change many things. But Penn State was living mostly on the broken coverages, and a lot of them that happened when Alar got outside of the box. Had pressure on him all night long, but let him get loose, gave receivers time, big play, and not even all of those resulted in touchdowns. The West Virginia defense was able to bow up and stop things. Here we go again. I will hopefully remember to edit this out. It's probably the same creditor as the last video. All right, back from the edit. Quick side note on that phone call. Spam, fraud, one of those that's trying to get you to say yes and no to certain questions. You give an answer that isn't one of those, and the line goes dead, which I'm pretty well take as a correlation to it being spam. All right. I have no idea where I was. But the defense did bow up, stop Penn State multiple times when they had to. Penn State moved the ball. Penn State got it was over 400 yards total, I believe. About 478 looks like, compared to right around 300 for West Virginia, a little over, tad over. And again, that difference was in the passing game entirely. Rushing was even. So we definitely have to succeed more in the passing game with consistency, with making, the wide open throws. But hey, they were there. What that game told us was West Virginia had chances to move the ball. Penn State did not shut them down. West Virginia made mistakes. Clear up those mistakes, the game changes. And a number of them were cleared up by the Pitt game. Or actually by the Duquesne game. They just didn't show the changes yet. So I think we can figure they're cleared up for this game, which may make room for new mistakes. Another big thing. Love Beanie Bishop. He dropped 2 interceptions. Of course, that was his thing for the season. Make an interception, drop an interception. Heaven knows if he'd caught every one that wasn't really a super tough catch, what would people have been saying about him? The number of total interceptions he'd had on the season. Now, the second one wasn't such a big deal because a couple of plays later, Penn State missed a field goal. The first one, it was diving for it, but it was in his hands and went through his arms. Should have had it. And that would have given West Virginia the ball in Penn State territory and momentum. Again, mistakes. West Virginia overcame those mistakes in later games. Penn State was too good for West Virginia to make mistakes. That's what the game was. West Virginia plays a clean game. It's either dang close or West Virginia wins. But West Virginia didn't play a clean game. Which also brings up, I'm just going to mention it quickly, Penn State was called for 1 penalty for 5 yards. There were multiple blatantly missed calls, some of which probably affected the game. I doubt they affected the outcome, but it was one thing in several. Penn State committed more than 1 penalty. All right, enough of that. What it really comes down to, a couple of things. Don't make mistakes, especially stupid mistakes, and most of the blown coverages were pretty stupid mistakes, which is, again, why the roster changed. And that includes missing open passes. Yeah, we're going to miss some. Green, we already knew Green has to be better on certain kinds of passes. But we proved we can stop Penn State. We proved we can get pressure on LR. We proved that we can get chunk runs. And proved that we could get open receivers. Now we take advantage of those things. We sack LR, don't blow coverages, don't let LR outside of the pocket. Containment. The defense was great when they contained, problems when they didn't. That was off and on for a good bit of the season. Consistency on the run. Get 3 yards instead of losing 1. That makes a difference. Time to check Bob's glucose. Complete passes to open receivers. That's it. You take last year's game, you change those factors, and West Virginia wins. That's pretty well the summary. Now I lost focus. I may have had a point there or a bit of information that I meant to use. I apologize. I'm not going to re-record because I've got too many things going on right now. But what we learned for this year, clean up the mistakes. The opportunities were there. That's what you got to remember. Penn State did not stop West Virginia. West Virginia stopped West Virginia more often than not. So, clean game. Of course, if it's clean on both sides, Penn State still has the edge. But if West Virginia plays clean, finds that extra grit and strain, West Virginia wins. And I think they can do it. All right, thanks for watching. I got to talk to Bob and spend some more time with Rockus. So I'll see you later. So long.